Today's video, guys, we got to rebuild this carburetor. All right, so we got our Mikuni carburetor off of our CR250. And when I test rode this bike, after I got back, it was just pouring fuel out of the bottom of the bowl, which shows me that either the float or most likely the needle and seat aren't sitting right. So we're gonna rip this bike or this carb open. We've got a rebuild kit, so we're gonna put the whole rebuild kit in, get everything set up, check the jets. I've never had the carb apart yet, so let's see how far we get. So we'll get the bowl taken off the carb. One big thing before you start ripping apart your carb is let's get it as clean as you can. So I went through this thing with toothbrushes and wire brushes and got all the dirt scrubbed off because let's face it, on a 20-year-old bike, it's gonna be dirty. It's gonna be really dirty. Guys have had this thing apart. There's dirt all over it. These screws have seen better days. For some reason, nobody seems to ever have a screwdriver that fits on these bikes I buy. And we lay out a real clean work area when we're working on carburetors. We want to be able to see the dirt that comes off so we can see if there's anything stuck inside. Oh man, it's just a round hole. Somebody's just stripped that poor bolt. I don't know if you guys can see it, but I just got the carb on the edge of the table, trying to hold on these flat spots so that we don't damage anything. We're gonna try and use the impact driver because that screw is stripped. There we go. The importance of an impact driver, guys, like I say in all my videos that I use it, is probably one of the #1 tools we need to have when we're working on bikes. Take the bowl off. Yeah, some gunk in there a little bit, down in here. The old fuel. Part looks good still. Take the float out. And the needle, shake it off there. Float looks good. We'll take a look though. There's a pin in the float right here. Don't want to lose that. Take a look at our needle. Pull our seat out. We're going to take out the screw on this one. The O-ring's seen better days, that's for sure. A little bit of dirt. I got a little bit of, I don't know if I can show you guys better with the light. And a little bit of dirt down in the bottom, sitting in places. We're gonna go ahead and clean all this up. So what we've got here, guys, is just a bowl of straight gasoline. It's not pre-mixed, it's not anything like that. It'll be fine. We're gonna test the float. So we're gonna put the float in it and see if it floats. We're just gonna let that sit. That'll tell us right away if our float is no good, if it starts to sink. I believe this one's good. It'll usually bubble and sink right away if your float's cracked, but it's good to let it sit while you do some work. Obviously be mindful that you have a jar of gasoline sitting on your bench. So now we're gonna take off the top of our Mikuni carburetor here. I'll lose that screw. Obviously we have our throttle cable out of the bike. It goes in there. So what we're checking for on our slide body is any major scratches that we may have to take out while we're rebuilding the carb. May have to buff it or polish it. This one seems to be pretty good. There's a little something going on here. It's just like a wear mark where the chrome has come off. You can see there's a chip out of it here on this side. That's not good. We'll see. My big concern is I'm sure that this bike's been rode a lot. So that slide being broken like that, something broke it. We're gonna take a better look at this crack on this side. Ugh. Take our needle out. I just need to undo the little screw down in there. Use a nut driver so we can reach down. Use a ratchet. What position here? Where our needle is in the second clip. The bike didn't seem to run funny, but we'll see. So with 2 strokes, this screw down here is an air screw. On a 4-stroke, that's a fuel screw. So that adjusts the airflow into the bike versus the fuel flow. We're gonna remove it, as we don't know where it's set. And we're gonna set this car back to stock settings when we're done. There's a little spring. You can see an immense amount of dirt on that. So that needs to be cleaned up. We don't want any of that dirt inside the bike, obviously. So we got this old dental pick. I actually got this from the dentist. It's a broken tool, so they don't use it in your mouth anymore, and they've sterilized it, and they saved them for me. I guess we pay these guys enough money that they can give me a little broken tool now and then. Just helps me get my my O-rings out. I don't think there's anything wrong with this O-ring, but since we have one in the rebuild kit, we're gonna clean it all up and rebuild it anyway. Take the O-ring out of the top here. It's like glued in there, of course. On our bowl, we want to take the this whole bottom cap off. There's an O-ring in there, and there'll be a lot of grime and stuff underneath it. Yeah, there's an O-ring our kit comes with that we're going to replace, and we're going to clean up all that grime. See the air screws in there, or air holes. This is our idle. We're going to unscrew it. Clean it all up. I'm going to pull our choke here. Whole bunch of O-rings on there that if you're going to rebuild it, you might as well. Clean up that spring. You can feel the grime in there. It's just dirt. I don't know why they go through all the hassle of rebuilding the motor and then not cleaning these parts. You can see, guys, the crud that's coming out of this this thing. You can see it built up in there. I'm just trying to scrape it off. This is on the bottom of the bowl. It's leftover fuel, I'm sure. But you can see the crud that's coming out. So you don't want that inside your carburetor. Guys are always wondering why their carbs aren't running right. Well, you get stuff like that sitting inside it. What do you think it's going to do? We're making sure to get all the little gunk out of places, especially on the inside here, and just draining it over top of the little bowl. If you could do it outside, probably better on some gravel or something like that. See that dirt built up there that I missed? I do. I don't know what's on the outside. I gotta get it. So you can see, guys, the new rebuild kit I think it was like 20 or 30 bucks. I can't remember, it might have been a little bit more. But this is the old stuff up top, and the jets match with the main and the pilot. They match perfect. It even comes with a brand new air screw and a brand new air screw spring, which I didn't realize, so I went ahead and cleaned it. But we're gonna swap it out because there's no point in having brand new stuff that I'll never use again, possibly, when we can just simply install the new stuff rather than the old. So our float's been floating in our bowl of gas this whole time, and there's nothing wrong with this float, which is really good because it saves us from having to buy a float. Some rebuild kits do come with a float, but especially if you buy a cheap Chinese one or something, check it. Check that float before you install it, because the last thing you want to do is install it and have the float be bad right from factory. So I always check my floats. If they're brand new or not, I'll float them in gas. So we'll reinstall our pin in the float, like so. And I'll show you here. So your float, how you adjust how it sits is there's a little tab right there. And that little tab, you either bend it down or up, and that'll change the way the float sits inside the carburetor. I'll show you guys what I mean, because we're gonna check the height of the float when we get to that point. But we need to install the needle. The new needle goes on that little tab. So, oh, sorry guys. So it just slides over that little tab, and then it sits there and drops into the seat. There we go. Get our screw, our holding screw. Screws in right here on the bar of the float. So what we're checking here, guys, is the level of the float. So our floats, well, we hold our carb as level as we can. And what we want to see on this bike, it's 7.5 millimeters from the flat surface to the float. So we're going to check it with our thing here, and we're 7.58. I don't know if you guys can see that. So we're not going to be adjusting this float. So it is pretty good. It looks pretty level. If we had a problem where it was still leaking fuel, we would start adjusting this in order to shut the, how it works is when the carb is empty, it sits like this, upside down, obviously. So it's got no fuel in it. Once the fuel comes in, the float floats up and shuts off the needle. The needle valve, right, closes and then doesn't allow more fuel into the carb. Now we'll reinstall a little piece. Install the bowl. Our gasket's all seated in there properly. Got some new screws, so we're going to use them. We'll go ahead and install the drain cap. Got a brand new O-ring on there. I just wanted to make a note of this, guys. Here's all the stock settings for the Mikuni, the TMX 04A. So that's the 2004. But 2 turns out for the air screw is where we need to set it. So, and here's all your specifications if you guys are looking for any of that stuff. So we're gonna set our air screw. We put it all the way in at that position. So we're gonna go 1 turn, 2 turns out. So the only thing left, guys, is to replace the hoses. A brand new set of hoses really adds a lot to the bike. So I use the old hoses to size up what I need. This hose is obviously brittle and broken, so we've cut it up. And I use these guys, Max Flow hoses. They've treated me right. They helped me out. They're able to get stuff to me and get it shipped down here. So if you guys are looking for new hose, give these guys a try. They're on eBay. They got their own website. It's maxmotorsports.com. max flow hoses. But yeah, check them out, guys. The prices are good. They got kits for all sorts of bikes. If you don't need to buy 100 feet, you just need a little bit. These are the guys to go with.
Promise I won't quit, keep going till I got it. I won't give up till I'm on top. Yo, no, I ain't the type to give up. If I do something, man, I do it till I get what I want. I turn a business out of nothing into something I love. I got a poker face, but honestly, I'm not one to bluff. I flip a switch, never miss, man, I always stay up. Don't let them see you, bitch, always have a plan to stay tough. This life ahead of you ain't easy, it was built to be rough. But that's what makes a personality.
Right on, guys, that's the carb rebuild video for the 04. You know, we put the whole kit in, needle and seat. I think that's going to solve our leaking fuel problem. I really have no doubt in my mind that that's what it was. There was a lot of dirt in there. We got a lot of dirt out. You guys saw how I scrubbed everything up and cleaned it. If you didn't, go back and watch it. New vent hoses are on the bike. That's awesome. They look really good. That company, MaxFlow, they worked with me, helped me deal with customs, shipped me a whole bunch of stuff up here. They're not a sponsor of the video by any means, but I'm really encouraging guys, go to their website, check them out. Great family company, great business, and they just went the extra mile for me, and I'm sure they do it for you. But yeah, anyway, like and subscribe on the video. Leave a comment down below if you guys want more information on the hose company or the rebuild kit or anything else. Let me know. But we'll see you guys in the next one.
With the screen,